Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Answer Man. I'm coming to you out in the field because I wanted to do some field testing of a brand new piece of equipment that I have in my hand. It is a loaner piece of equipment from ProAudio.com, for which I am an authorized reseller of equipment. And I'm very happy to announce that from this point forward, I'll be doing a lot of product reviews. So I'm going to be playing around with a lot of professional audio gear. And what I'm using right now, what I'm recording with, is the solid-state recorder by Marantz, which is their professional PMD620 portable audio digital recording device. And this, I would say, is very equivalent to my favorite piece of recording gear. By the way, you're hearing an airplane going overhead right now. Anyway, my favorite piece of audio recording gear, which is the Edirol R-09. And I am very much in love with the Edirol. And I pretty much have decided to judge all digital audio recorders based upon my experience with the Edirol, which I love so much. So before I go any further, I do want to say something as an update to the Zoom H2 recorder. In a previous episode of the podcast Answer Man, I gave the Zoom H2 digital audio recorder a very negative review. And I still stand by today all of the different things that I said that I didn't like about it. For example, things that I didn't like. Number one, on the Zoom H2 recorder, you cannot pause. If you're going somewhere, you're recording out in the field like I am right now, and you want to stop for just a second and then pick up where you left off, you literally have to stop the recording and then hit record again, and it will start you a brand new recording, which you will then have to stitch together in post-processing as you are finished recording. Or the other option, of course, is to, instead of pausing, just going ahead and letting it continue to record, which then, again, you'll have to go in post-production and edit out all that dead spot that you don't want. Now, the other thing I didn't like about the Zoom H2 was the very shoddy, very cheap power button on there. When you put the batteries in, if you leave the batteries in your Zoom H2 recorder, there's a very high chance that you're going to run your batteries down by accidentally having the switch flip on to the on position and running down your audio or your batteries in standby mode for a very lengthy period of time. And so I hate that. And the other thing that I didn't like is the user interface of the menuing system and even the buttons on the front. They just bug me. Now, with that said, I do want to give you an update on my opinion of the Zoom H2. I did not send that unit back. The reason why, of course, is because I have many clients who purchased the Zoom H2 from me, and therefore, oftentimes, when they call for help, I need to be able to have one in front of me to walk them through the menuing system, because it is that crazy. And if you're not using it all the time and changing things all the time, then it is very difficult to navigate through. And especially if you're not an audiophile and don't understand what all the different options are. And so I did keep it. And because I kept it, I found that I actually ended up using it, because there were times when the Edirol recorder was in my studio, and as a result of that, I found that Stephanie was in need of the Edirol recorder to record one of her episodes of the Full-Time Mom podcast. And so I would take the Zoom H2 out on the road just in case I needed to record something. Now, let me tell you something. I really, really, really enjoy a couple things about the Zoom H2 recorder. Number one, I love the number of microphones that it has. I do enjoy the fact that it has 4 microphones, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and it also has a middle microphone as well, which if you record in 4-channel audio, it even gives you a better surround sound. So the microphones on the Zoom H2, I would say, is actually a benefit over and beyond the Edirol However, that is any benefit brought about by the additional microphones are completely blown away by the fact that it can't pause and it does not have a very good power button, a very flaky power button. And I sit down and I have this conversation with all of my clients because they're all looking, many of my clients are looking to see what they can get, and they want to get all the gear required to get some excellent recording in the studio and out in the field. Some of them, however, on a tight budget, so I sit down and explain the details of the difference between the Zoom H2 and the Edirol. My experience has been that many people have decided to go the route of the Zoom H2 recorder. Half of those people have decided afterwards that they want to upgrade to the Edirol, and they decide to sell their own Zoom H2. And the reason being the fact that you can't pause, and number two, they don't like the power button. And so, of course, that's something that I definitely told them going into the deal. So, with that said, I try to give people what they want. I give them my advice and my opinion, and I ask them, I say, here are the drawbacks of the Zoom, but if it's worth saving $200, this is what you can do. Now, I do have a couple clients who purchased the Zoom H2. They still have the Zoom H2, and it works perfectly fine for them, and they're very happy with their Zoom H2. Now, the other thing, and so the Zoom H2 is not all that bad. When you can save $200, it's pretty darn good. Now, I will tell you that another thing that's very good about the Zoom H2 is the fact that it comes with a windscreen. Now, tonight, out here at the public library, there's a little bit of a wind. And you can kind of hear a little bit of it. But if I was using my Edirol, you would be hearing the wind a little bit more than what you're hearing now. But with the Zoom H2, it did come with a windscreen, which I think is pretty nice. The Zoom H2 also came with a patch cable with two RCAs on one end and an 1/8" stereo jack on the other end. And it also came with a little stand, and it has the little port on the bottom of it that allows you to put it on like a little camera stand or something like that, so you can have it mounted that way. So there are little features, little benefits of the Zoom H2. I think it's a worthwhile purchase if you're looking to really save $200 under what the next best recorder would be for your digital audio purposes. Anybody who is very serious about field recording and using podcast, doing a lot of recording, my suggestion is not to go with the Zoom H2. Zoom H2 is for the occasional use kind of thing, nothing beyond that. Now, the Edirol recorder, I believe, is the best digital audio recorder out there. However, I must say that this piece of equipment that I'm holding in my hand right now, I like it a lot. There is only one thing that I don't like about the Marantz PMD620 digital audio recorder. Before I talk about what I don't like, let me tell you what I do like. Number one, it has a much sturdier construction about it than the Edirol does. For example, on the sides of the Edirol R-09, there are rubber pieces that run all along the side of the unit. And the rubber pieces on my Edirol on both sides have kind of breaking away, and you have that little bubbly feeling in the rubber, and some of the rubber is actually pulled off and pulled away. And I just tore it off. Still works, functions just like the day it was purchased. It just doesn't look the same. And so, when you're going out and you're a professional podcaster, I think looking like you have the professional gear is a part. Now there's where this windscreen would have been nice. But anyway, going out and recording in the field, if you're doing interviews and stuff like that, I think having a very high quality, very professional looking piece of equipment in your hand, I believe that says a lot. And so because of that, I really like the fact that this Marantz, now you're going to hear, if you're listening with your headphones, you're going to hear some displacement of my voice as I go from left to right and back and front here as I'm turning it around. But this thing is solid. There is no rubber piece as far as on the sides, on the front, or on the top. There are some covers at the bottom. I think maybe one piece might be rubber. Yeah, it is a little bit rubberized there. But let me just start from the top. First of all, very, very, very high quality, super awesome condenser microphones on the top of this thing. Obviously, you can, if you're listening with your headphones, right now I'm speaking into your right ear, and now I'm speaking into your left. And now I'm right in the middle of your ears. Anyway, I'm in your head. Okay, so very high quality microphones. On the top, there are two ports. There is the headphones on your left, and then there is microphone on the right. Now, I have not read the documentation, but every one of these digital audio recorders should certainly have a powered mic option. And so you can plug in a microphone into the top. And even if you don't, maybe you have an XLR, let's say you have an interview microphone like the Electro Voice RE50B, which is your most standard interviewing microphone out there. You can get an XLR to 1/8 inch connector to plug into here, and it'll power that thing right up, and it'll work perfect with this device. Now, there are on the left-hand side. I'm going over to the left-hand side here. At the bottom on the side, there is a little port for the power plug-in, and it does have one of those little rubberized. It seems like the door is actually plastic or very hard rubber, but then it's got rubber holding it in. Probably for me, it would be something that would eventually break away as I got used to it. But even broken away, it would look as though it was designed not to have it. So you'd still have that professional look and feel. I'm quite certain of that. So looking at the ports on the left, you have, I love this, not only do you have a line in, but you have a line out on this recorder. Now, having line out is very cool because you could actually take and put everything from your mixer, from the audio out on your mixer, into the input of your digital audio recorder, and then you could go into the line out on a secondary source and record into another digital audio recorder or another computer program, and that way you could very easily do backup recording at the same time. So you would have two copies just in case one of the copies failed. And then there's an option for a remote, and I'm sure that remote would be so that you can start and stop this recording from far away. It does not come with a remote, but it does have the remote port on there. Now, on the right-hand side, at the top of the right, there is the recording level. So you can adjust the gain. For example, I'm going to turn the gain way down. So I just turned the gain way down, and now I'm going to turn the gain way back up. So you can certainly do that on the fly. Now, the Marantz did not come with a windscreen. Now, I can tell you, I think you can pick them up for like $5 or $6 or even $8, a microphone windscreen for one of those round microphones, and just probably stick that right on top of one of this unit without any problem at all. One of the foam windscreens. Right below the record level are two buttons, and I love the buttons on this. They did it right. The power button, number one, is not just a switch up. It's a switch that you push and you hold up until the unit powers on, and then you let go and it rests back down. So it's kind of spring-loaded. The other thing that's awesome is that it does, just like the Edirol, it has a key lock. So you can actually turn that switch up, and it locks any and all buttons from being used and pushed on accident. So no accidental turn-ons, no dead batteries in this baby. Now, I'm going to look at the front of it, and I will tell you that the buttons are pretty clear and easy to understand. One of the things that I can do is I can pause the recording, which I'm going to pause right now. And of course, now I'm back. Now for you, that was instantaneous. However, I will tell you that I was paused for about 7 seconds. So I am able to continue on right where I left off. That is huge. So there's a button that is marked record. You click that one time and it starts recording. And then you can hit the pause button, the record pause button, and then there's the stop or the cancel button. So for recording in the field, you've got 3 buttons on the top of the controls here. You've got record, and when you push record, it's got a nice round glowing red circle around the button, which is kind of neat. And when you pause, of course, it blinks, and I kind of like that. The only thing I wish it did that the Edirol does is that you can actually hit the record button once on the Edirol and it starts blinking, so it doesn't immediately go into record mode. It just puts it in standby, and then you hit the record button again, and that's what starts the recording. On the Marantz PMD620, you hit the record button once and it's recording immediately. But that's not the drawback. I see no problem with that at all. I do love that it pauses. Underneath that, you can cycle through the display, which I'm going to get back to the display. And then on the bottom left of the front, you have a circle with volume up and down, and then you have left and right buttons, and you have an enter button in the middle for your playback functionality and also for your menuing. To get to and access the menuing system, you hold down the display button for a few seconds and it'll pull up the menu, and the buttons are real easy to scroll through. Nothing like the Zoom H2 recorder. Now, I will tell you that the Edirol menuing system is much better than the menuing system on the Marantz. However, it seems to have all the functionality, and it seems to be no issue whatsoever. Now, before I go to the one negative thing about the Marantz, I am going to turn around and look at the bottom here. So it's going to sound a little odd because I am the furthest away from the microphones. But here's the deal. Actually, one of the things that I don't like about the Edirol is that the batteries load in the bottom of the unit. And that is the same place where the SD card loads and the same place where the USB interface is. So you actually have to open up the battery compartment like a little bit of the way to access the SD card and the USB interface on the Edirol. The Marantz people got this one right. They actually put the battery compartment in the back of the unit, and the batteries are the only thing that go into the back of the unit. This thing just feels sturdier in my hands, and if I want to access the SD card, I just pop open the bottom and I pull that out. It's got a little compartment that covers it up. Again, it's one of those hard plastic or hard rubber doors. It does appear that could possibly come off with wear and tear, but again, and the same is true for the little USB interface, but I'm telling you, if those little doors were to be pulled right off, it would not affect the exterior look of this. In fact, it would look just as though those things did not intend to have doors on them. So holding it in your hand in public, even after a lot of wear and tear with the Marantz PMD620, this thing's still going to look stunningly beautiful and a very professional looking piece of equipment. So overall, I really like it. Now I'm going to tell you about the one thing I do not like. On both the Zoom H2 and the Edirol, you can see on the display as you're recording, you can see 2 things at the same time. Number one, the recording levels, the gain indicators showing whether or not how far up the VU meter you are on. So you can tell if you're close to peaking, so you can kind of adjust the audio, the record level, the gain control. You can kind of adjust that visually by talking and getting it close up to the top without peaking at the highest level of your recording. And so I really, really enjoy the fact that you can see that. And you can see that You can see that here, but right now, I'm looking at the time being recorded. For me to be able to see the levels, I have to hit the display button and cycle through. Now, you're going to hear something here. You're hearing the buttons. Now, I've cycled through, and now I see the left and right recording levels. But now that I'm seeing the recording levels, I'm not able to see how long I've been recording. So, I don't like that to go back to the recording level. I have to push that button. And listen to this. You hear that every single time I push that button, it is going to pick it up. I mean, that's how sensitive these microphones are. They're supposed to be that way. And so I don't like that when I push that button, that I can't. It just seems to be a major design flaw. It's like if they only would have put the gain meter, the VU meter, and the recording time on the same screen, I would not return this to Pro Audio. Instead, I would keep this and replace and I'd probably have this as my main recording unit. However, I am going to send this unit back, but not because I don't like it. It's just because it is a demo unit. It's not on the budget for GSPN.TV or Podcast Answer Man, Bitcast Media to pay for right now. There are other greater priorities for me at this point in time. However, let me tell you this, okay? This is going to sound like sacrilege to everything I've ever said about the Edirol R-09. If I had to replace the Edirol R-09, and I had, let's just say if that was to let's say I dropped it and I broke it and it wouldn't record anymore. If I had to replace the unit, I would probably choose to purchase the Marantz PMD620 over the Edirol. It is the same size in my hand. It just looks much more professional. When you pay $3.99 for a product, you don't want it to look like a plastic toy. And this does not look like a plastic toy. Whereas the Edirol, I'll be honest with you, it does look like a plastic toy. And so that's one of the drawbacks of the Edirol. This obviously is made with plastic. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't look or feel like it. You feel like you're holding a piece of $400 equipment when you're holding the Marantz, whereas with the Edirol, you don't quite get that feeling until you start using it, and you know that you are. So with that, that's my review of the Marantz PMD620, which again, it does use the solid-state SD card. You can put a gig or two in there, and you're good to go for quite some time. It's got the microphones are open not only in the front but also on the sides and in front of you and in the back. And I would say this is probably, minus the fact that I can't see both the time and the quality, the level indicators at the same time. That's the only drawback to this unit. But I will tell you what, if I need to buy another digital recorder, the Marantz PMD620 will be my recorder of choice. And this has now moved up to the top of the list of the portable digital recorders. So with that is my review. If you are looking to purchase one of these and you're in the market for a portable digital recorder, I would probably steer you somewhere in between the Zoom H2 recorder if you're on a very extreme tight budget and you're able to put up with the three major drawbacks that I have mentioned. But I would certainly suggest, if you're anywhere near interested in really being serious about your podcasting, I would suggest over and above the Edirol R-09, the Marantz PMD620. I do have them available. If you're interested, send me an email at cliff@gspn.tv. Again, that's cliff@gspn.tv. I'd be happy to place an order for you and get it right out to you as well. With that, this is my equipment review. I am going to take this baby home, pull out the SD card, put this show out as a Podcast Answer Man episode, and then I'm going to package this thing up and unfortunately ship it back. I don't want to, but I just don't have the money in the budget for you right now, so it's going to have to go back. Anyway, with that, thank you for joining me for another episode of the podcast Answer Man. Yet another product review here, and I will be doing very many more of these product reviews. I'm going to see what's coming next. I think maybe I'll get a couple new microphones and some other options that'll come in, and we'll be back soon with more product reviews. And I've said that so many times now. But the one last thing I must say is a special thank you to our sponsor of the podcast, Answer Man Podcast. That would be Evan Agee over at AG Design, ageedesign.com/podcast. If you need a website, if anybody can put together a podcast these days, and you can use a host of free services, and WordPress is simply amazing. But if you want your site to stand out, you want your website to look above and beyond the best out there, consider getting some work done through Evan Agee at AG Design. And in fact, if you go to agedesign.com/podcast and you tell him that you heard about him from the podcast Answer Man, he will give you 20% off of anything he does for you. And I can personally attest to the quality of work that you will get from him. So with that, God bless you all. Have a great day, and I'm out of here.